happy birthday to me. That's right, we are at the end of year 2. Man, actually kind of crazy. And this time we did 19 bands as opposed to 14 last year, because I didn't even start ranking bands until a couple months into my channel. So this year we're able to get 19. Maybe we'll get to 20 for year 3, but for now it's time to look back on all 19 bands and see which ones reign above the other ones. So let's get started with in last place. Poor Dan. Poor Dan. Look, man, I love Trioscapes. Absolutely love it. But that's it. You have two very polar opposite ends. You have the awesome Orbs. Are you shitting me? You have the awesome Trioscapes. And then all the way down here, in the lowest possible quadrant of the music world, you have Orbs. And it's a shame, because they could have been a decent band if this guy fucking knew how to sing or how to do anything other than irritate the absolute hell out of me. But it's not just them. Nova Collective, it's just kind of okay. You have Disorder Assembly, which also kind of sucks. And then you have his solo thing, Nightmare Scenario, which is pretty good, but I haven't even heard the second one, so it's just Trioscapes. Unfortunately, everything else drags Trioscapes down to the bottom. And speaking of, where the hell is the third album? He talked about it like over a year ago, how it was done, and we still haven't heard anything. So, yo, give us the Trioscapes, bro. So, Liquid Tension Experiment, really solid. Just one that I do not listen to that often. There's obviously other bands that I've done this year that I like. I just like more. Like I can't even think of too many songs off the top of my head. It's mainly just like Acid Rain and like the Bill and Ted songs, and I don't know. They're okay. I like them enough, I guess, but compared to everyone else, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yo, is this room right enough? This is supposed to be for Death Album 1. Oh my god, let me fix this. Ugh, now it looks like Christmas. Whatever. Dethklok, they're a meme band, but honestly, as far as meme bands go, their first album actually has quite a decent selection of really good songs. And, you know, like Crush the Industry with Bloodlines on the other 2 albums. You know, they're fun. They're just a fun band, basically. You know, I don't think many people are out there like diehard Dethklok fans, but you know, they're fun, they're enjoyable, but there's also a lot of other bands that I would much rather listen to. Okay, so the most recent band we just did, ELP, basically what I was talking about in that video, Keith Emerson really holds his band back from being one of my favorites because he wanks too much and too long. And honestly, like, my favorite album, Works Volume 1, there's like a solid 30% of it that I do not care for at all. So, I don't know. It's tough. It's tough because they're fun to listen to. I enjoy them a decent bit. But like when it comes down to it, I'm not going to be listening to them all that often. Even their like the pinnacle albums, I don't even like as nearly as much as everyone else. And they are fairly newer in my music listening. I have not been listening to them for very long. So, I don't know. Maybe eventually I would like them more, but as for now, they're just more okay. Yeah, a lot of these bands towards the bottom are going to have the same story. I like them enough to actively listen to them once in a while, but there's just some that I prefer others. And The Police, I really like the first album, and I like several songs sprinkled out through the other albums too. Just the same kind of stuff. Like, how often do I go out to listen to them? Not very often. There's also very few albums. I mean, there's only 5, and compared to some bands above them that have 10 plus, it's just kind of hard to prefer this one band compared with a smaller discography to a band that has a lot of albums. Besides one that's pretty high up that has a very small catalog, but we'll get to that later. But hey man, I like him enough that I started my pop collection with Stuart Copeland, because look, even though he comes with a little drum set that has the Police logo on it, none of the other pop figures have this. So I was disappointed when I started buying other ones, and then he's the only one that has this little cool extra piece. But yeah, I like him enough. Honestly, I'm kind of mad that Genesis ended up being my most successful video in the Big Four of Prague I did, because they're easily the one I know the least. Especially with the second half of their career being vastly different from the first half, and it just kind of like you either go to one side or the other. You don't really, I don't see a lot of people having a mix in their rankings with like the old stuff and the new stuff. It's like they're either the new old or old new, no in between. But yeah, I mean, they have a couple songs in the Phil Collins days, like, Misunderstanding, Land of Confusion, Mama, what else? Man on the Corner. There's a couple like songs I really like, but even the old stuff, like off the top of my head, I can really only remember a few songs. Most notably, Firth of Fifth, which is definitely my favorite song now. I'd have to go back and listen to Nursery Crime and Selling England to see if I still have those where they are, because that song really, really grew on me. But yeah, I'm just not overly familiar with them quite yet. They just definitely have a couple more albums that I really like, as opposed to everyone else, if that makes sense. Dream Theater. I actually just saw these guys 2 days ago. It's tricky because the instrumental side of Dream Theater is actually pretty awesome. And then you have James LaBrie, who single-handedly pretty much holds them back to this point of the list. If I were to redo the Dream Theater list, I think the new album would probably be like top 3. It's just Alien and Sleeping Giant that I just don't care for too much, but I love all the other songs. Of course, and then of course you got like Panic Attack, Octavarium, Pull Me Under, The Dark Eternal Night, Constant Motion, and 6 O'Clock, Yitzy Jam, whatever else I'm forgetting. They have a lot of songs that I really like, but as far as full albums go, I think they're easily the rarest you'll see me listen to a full album. Like, straight up, the only time I ever did was when I was first going through them, and then when I did the ranking. Most of those albums I had never heard again, like, front to back. So they're one of those bands where I go to for like a song or two, and then I'm on to the next one. Gojira is honestly a pretty damn good band. Just, again, not one of those that I listen to full albums all that often. But they have some super hard bangers. Flying Whales, I really like Another World, Born for One Thing, a lot of Fortitude I really like. They have Stranded, Silvera, The Art of Dying, and just a lot of really, really strong songs and strong albums. Like The Way of All Flesh, L'Enfant, I think are both really good front to back. From Mars to Sirius, kind of unpopular, but I don't really think that album is a masterpiece or anything, but it's still pretty good. But then you have the other albums like the first two and Magma that like I don't really care for all that much. But still, the songs I like, I really do like, and honestly, I hope to enjoy them more in the future. Alright, so Yes is pretty much the last band in this section where, you know, I don't really listen to full albums all that often. I just kind of go through to certain songs. Like every band above this has just like almost all their albums are just really good, because Yes does have a couple that I just do not care. I mean, they have like 20, 22 or 21 albums now. You know, the latest two, and then like stuff like Open Your Eyes and The Ladder and stuff like that, where it's just kind of okay. But of course, you know, with Close to the Edge, Gates of Delirium, Roundabout, just they have a lot of really strong songs too. I will forever live in infamy as calling Fragile extremely overrated, because most of that album is just kind of interludes, except a couple. But like I said, you know, it's bookended by two really good songs. But yeah, also because they have so many albums, it's also kind of hard to really get into this band and listen to them all that often, just because it's just kind of overwhelming. But just in general, I just guess I enjoy their stuff more than the bands that we just talked about. They're just not consistently good enough. Unlike the next band, which is very damn consistently good. Yeah, so I may not be super crazy into King Crimson and don't listen to them all that often, but I'll be damned if I didn't say they probably have the strongest discography on this entire list. 13 albums and not one of them is bad? That's impressive. It's just one of those bands where I actually felt bad about putting anything in last place, which of course it was Islands, but even so, Islands is really a really good album. You know, there's a couple bands I went through this year, like them, Mastodon, Jethro Tull, which I never was a huge fan of, but after listening to all their albums like in a row, I am actually very, very excited to go back and dive into them further, because they all kind of blew me away this year. So, and seeing King Crimson live this year was actually also pretty awesome. Just if only Robert would stop covering songs with his tit showing wife on Facebook and make a new goddamn album already, I think that would be awesome. Look, man, Jethro Tull was actually probably the best time I had going through a band this year, because although they have a couple albums that I just don't really like, what was it? Minstrel in the Gallery, Too Old to Rock and Roll, and then Under Wraps. Everything else, I had a damn good time with, especially those like folk albums in the middle and towards the end. I couldn't believe how much I was enjoying like Roots to Branches and jtull.com. I was like, man, these are actually really good albums. And I think I will definitely be doing Ian Anderson's solo career this upcoming year at some point, because if his stuff is nearly as good as Jethro Tull stuff, then that's going to be a damn good time too. Years from now, I can actually see myself being like a really big Jethro Tull fan, because for it only being my second time through the band, I gotta say, I was thoroughly impressed. And it would actually be kind of awesome to see them live if they would come to the States, because they are touring in Europe, but come to the States, bro. I think Mastodon is my ultimate why did I not listen to more of you band. Because with Leviathan, Blood Mountain, and Emperor of Sand, even Crack the Sky, I was like, man, these are really, really good albums. It's like a trilogy. Mastodon, King Crimson, and Jethro Tull, all three of these bands, I had just a really good time going through them because they were all just really consistently good. Despite, Once More on the Sun is okay in The Hunter, but even those have a couple songs that I really like on it. So, yes, I can't wait to start listening to these guys more, despite me needing to listen to other bands for year 3. But anyway, especially with Blood Mountain, that shit blew me away. I was like, because I've heard it a couple times already, but going through them, I was like, I don't know, I liked it so much more when I was like marathoning them. Alright, gotta be honest. The only reason Tool is this high is because of Fear Inoculum. Shit. That is... If I was doing this in 2019, and we were doing the albums of the year ranked, Fear Inoculum absolutely would be number 1. Because, I don't know, just something about it just really worked for me. I know something about it. Fucking Danny Carey was absolute going ham. Look. Yeah. This is Danny Carey fucking going ham as an ant. I've always enjoyed songs like Sober, Third Eye, Schism, Vicarious, and just a handful of others. Apparently they just started selling the vinyls on tour for a whopping $800, and that's my favorite album. And I'm trying to buy the vinyl of my favorite albums. Maybe I should start like a GoFundMe. Hey, give me money so I can go buy Fear Inoculum on vinyl. But yeah, that's literally the only reason. Is just because if it wasn't for that album, they would probably be like around 15 or so. But Fear Inoculum was... I like that album so damn much that it brought him up to number 7. So, enough said. Pantera have 4 really bad albums. But I think most of us just pretty much just choose to forget they even exist. So Pantera, having a 5-album discography, have a really good 5-album discography. The last one's okay, but like, oh my god. Cowboys from Hell, Domination, Walk, Rise, A New Level, Floods, Tens, Becoming, I'm Broken, Death Rattle. Like, they have so many songs that are really, really damn good. And Cowboys from Hell, favorite album, despite it having the worst drum production I ever heard in my life. Not too often that I go through them, but when I do, I don't always listen to Pantera, but when I do, I crank that shit as loud as I can, except when I'm listening to Cowboys from Hell, because the hi-hat would make my ears explode. But yeah, honestly, a shame that I miss my chance forever to see them live, because I didn't even know who they were when they were still around, because what, you think a 5-year-old's gonna go see Pantera live? Hell no. Unless they have the coolest parents in the world, in which case, go right ahead. But, yeah, I've said what I need to say. Let's move on. Is Nevermind alone actually putting Nirvana at number 5? I think it is. They have some other bops. School, About a Girl, Floyd the Barber, Heart-Shaped Box, Rate Me, All Apologies. But, man, Nevermind is... I don't say this very often, but it is a perfect album. There is not one song on that album that I dislike. And there's 12 of them? That's impressive. Even songs like On a Plane and Lounge Act, which I didn't care for pretty much until very recently. They just took a while to grow on me, but they definitely did. And yeah, man, I don't know. Just sometimes all it takes is one album to just rise above the rest. This is the band I was talking about, where they only have 3. I mean, they have 3 studio albums, and then they have like the Incesticide compilation. But only one of those is good enough for them to reign supreme over everyone else I just talked about. Because I very frequently put on Nevermind, because it's just a damn good album. But I would say past this, these top 4 are like these bands I listen to very, very frequently. Nirvana is kind of in the mix, but it's just one album, whereas the other ones have at least a couple. Pink Floyd is one of the earliest bands I ever listened to. They've been around me pretty much my whole life. And yes, they have some stinkers. Umaguma is garbage. Final Cut is pretty bad. And then you have a couple okay ones like More, Endless River, and whatever else. But when you get down to the 70s, and they're hitting you with Dark Side, Wish You Were Here, The Wall, Animals. It's like, man, they absolutely had a monopoly on the best music in the 70s. And they are the reason I'm only buying one vinyl per band. Because every single one of them motherfuckers they have is like at least $50. I haven't even seen like The Wall run for $80, Dark Side for $100. Hell no. But yeah, Wish You Were Here is straight up in my 10 favorite albums of all time. And that is actually the album I was listening to that made me want to start buying vinyls. Because I think that one, just you're sitting in a room by yourself, you got your vinyl player going off, and you're listening to Shine On You Crazy Diamond, and you get to the do. I already have chills just thinking about it. So yes, I don't love all their albums, but they have 4 pretty much perfect ones. Only outshined by a couple bands that I either like all their albums or I just play them more often. And look, man, I'm not saying the next band is better than Pink Floyd, but I do really like them. Goddamn Tenacious D, man. Oh my god. I still remember when I first started listening to them, a little bit before Rise of the Phoenix came out, and when I still use iTunes, and it had a play count, and like you can see like your top like 20 or 50 most listened to songs. Straight up, the top 18 spots were Tenacious D. I was hardcore addicted to them. And, you know, I still really, really like this band. On the surface, it seems like a joke. Because with tracks like Double Team and Fuck Her Gently, I think most people tend to brush them off. But when it comes down to it, you listen to a song like Senorita, Roadie, Master Exploder, The Metal. I mean, the lyrics are kind of goofy, but they write some seriously good riffs. I just enjoy these guys a lot. Very, very much so. And seeing them live was like one of the most hype concerts I ever went to. I mean, you got Dave Grohl playing on all the studio albums, which definitely helps. They're definitely not as influential as Pink Floyd or goddamn King Crimson, but on a list of my favorite bands, they are definitely in the top 10. They actually just did like a 20th anniversary thing, and I actually got the OG demo CD and like the cassette, which I can't play, and this very clearly printed out recreation of like the poster of like their first show or something. I don't know, it's just really cool. Just a fun band. BT Bam have 2 pretty whatever albums, a couple okay albums, but then some of the best damn metal I ever heard in my life. Alright, actually I have to take a short little break because my SD card got full. That's how long I've been sitting here talking about these bands. Goodness gracious. But yeah, BT Bam. Like, there's a couple, like the first two, kind of whatever. Alaska has its moments, the Parallax One has its moments, and even the Automatas have their moments. But yeah, when you get down to it, all of Colors, all of Great Misdirect, and all of Parallax 2. Perfect. And then with Coma, handful of songs, like most of it, Node into Coma Machine, Famine Wolf is cool, King Redeem, Memory Palace, and then you get to the other albums with like Condemned to the Gallows, Millions, Voice of Trespass. Colors 2 is too new, because I still don't remember all the songs off of that one, but it's also really good. But yeah, man, these guys, just some of like the actual best musicians I ever heard in my life, in the same band, and then put them together and just, I don't even know what to say. Like, if you know them, you know them, right? Just very frequently playing these guys. There's only one man who can reign supreme over these guys by having just a lot more albums. Just he just wins by numbers and sometimes by quality. You know him, you love him. It's our main man, Heavy Devi himself, Devin Townsend, coming in at number 1 for my year 2. If I sit here and list all the songs I like, I'm gonna hit my SD card max again, and this shit's gonna be an hour long. With albums like Deconstruction, Z2, City, Epic Cloud, Addicted, Ziltoid, Accelerated Evolution. What else am I missing? Transcendence and goddamn Empath and Ocean Machine, fucking Punky Brewster, fucking Ghost. The list goes on and on and on with this guy. And we have Lightwork coming out very soon, which, damn, I'm very excited for, because leading up to the puzzle, he was talking very in depth about it, but we don't know shit about Lightwork, but it is being mixed as of now, so that's exciting. Just between Strapping, the project, and the solo stuff, there's just so many great songs and so many great albums, and just so many great players too that he's played with over the years. This is one of the big dogs, like in the top 5 ever for me. So yeah, that'll pretty much do it for me for this year. Tune in a couple weeks with literally the fucking first band we're doing for year 3. Spoiler alert, they're gonna be number 1 for year 3, because they are the last in like the big ones that I haven't done yet. And you probably know who they are if you know me. But if you don't, well, just know, too bad it's not Halloween, because it's gonna get spooky.